There is a harbour wall on the Italian coast that has been standing in salt water since before the birth of Christ. Nobody has maintained it, nobody has repaired it, and there is no steel anywhere inside it. Just concrete and 2,000 years of waves. A few hours up the same coastline, motorway bridges poured in the 1970s are being demolished because the concrete inside them is coming apart. Same coastline, same salt, same waves. The only difference is what went into the mix. The Romans understood something about this material that Western Europe forgot for roughly 13 centuries. And when scientists finally drilled into those harbors to find out what it was, they found the concrete had been doing something nobody expected. It had been getting stronger. Start with the Pantheon. Completed around 126 AD under Hadrian, its dome spans 43.3 meters, and 19 centuries later, it is still the largest unreinforced concrete dome anywhere on Earth. Nothing holds it up except the geometry and the mix. The Roman engineers graded the material as the dome rose, packing dense basalt down at the base and switching to light, porous pumice near the top, so the structure got lighter exactly where it needed to be. And the Pantheon is only the showpiece. The same material carried water across valleys in aqueducts, held up the Colosseum, floored the baths, and formed the breakwaters of harbors from Israel to Spain. The most ambitious example is on the coast of modern Israel. Between roughly 22 and 15 BC, Herod the Great built the harbor of Caesarea Maritima on an open shoreline with no natural bay to shelter it. His engineers poured enormous concrete blocks straight into the Mediterranean, using material shipped in from Italy, and manufactured a port where the geography refused to provide one. The marine work is the strange part. Concrete and seawater are enemies. Salt is what kills modern piers. But Roman engineers were deliberately pouring concrete into the sea, and their own writers claimed it hardened underwater on purpose. For a long time, that sounded like Roman bragging. It wasn't. The recipe survives, and it survives in writing. Around 25 BC, the architect Vitruvius described a specific powder found near the town of Puteoli, modern Pozzuoli, in the volcanic fields west of Naples. He called it pulvis puteolanus. Mix it with lime and rubble, he wrote, and it sets hard even underwater. Pliny the Elder said much the same thing a century later, and added the detail that made no sense to anyone reading him for the next 1,500 years. Once it touched the sea, it became a single stone mass, impregnable to the waves, and stronger every day. Volcanic ash from that region is full of reactive silica and alumina, locked in glass that formed when magma cooled fast. On its own, it does nothing. Add calcium and water, and that glass starts to dissolve and reassemble into a binder. So the Roman mix was ash, lime, chunks of volcanic rock as aggregate, and seawater. In modern terms, it barely qualifies as cement. It behaves more like a chemistry set that keeps running long after the builders have gone home. That was the theory, anyway. Nobody could prove what was happening inside the material until someone went and took a piece of it. Between 2002 and 2009, a project called Romicons drilled cores out of Roman marine structures around the Mediterranean. Those cores ended up in laboratories, and in 2017, a team led by geologist Marie Jackson put them under X-ray beams at the Advanced Light Source in Berkeley. The expectation was decay. 2,000 years of saltwater attack should leave an obvious signature of breakdown. She found the opposite. Inside the pores and cracks, brand new minerals had grown. Two in particular. a rare aluminium-rich form of tobermarite, and a zeolite called philipsite. Both grow as thin interlocking plates, and they had grown right through the fabric of the concrete, knitting the matrix together and blocking cracks from spreading. Here is the mechanism. Seawater percolated through the concrete, dissolved parts of the volcanic ash, and the resulting alkaline fluid crystallized into those reinforcing minerals. The seawater was not the attacker. It was the ingredient that kept arriving. Now compare that to a modern marine pier. Chloride from the same seawater diffuses through the concrete, reaches the steel reinforcement, and corrodes it. Rusting steel expands to several times its original volume, and that expansion cracks the concrete from the inside. The typical design life is somewhere between 50 and 100 years, and plenty of structures fail long before that, which leaves an obvious hole in the story. Most Roman concrete was never anywhere near the sea, and those buildings are still standing too. The answer had been sitting in plain sight for more than a century, and archaeologists dismissed it every single time they looked at it. Roman concrete is peppered with small white lumps, called limeclasts. The standard reading was that they were mistakes, the residue of sloppy mixing or bad raw material. In January 2023, a team led by Admir Masick at MIT published work in Science Advances that turned that assumption inside out. The lumps were deliberate, and they are a large part of why the material survives. The team concluded the Romans were mixing quicklime directly with the ash and water rather than slaking it first, a process the researchers call hot mixing. The reaction runs hot, and it leaves behind those brittle, nanostructured calcium lumps distributed through the material. That brittleness turns out to be the whole trick. When a crack forms, it travels through the weak clasts by preference. Water gets in, dissolves the calcium, and it recrystallizes as calcium carbonate right inside the crack. The concrete seals its own damage before that damage can spread. The researchers tested it. They cast modern concrete with hot mixed lime clasts, cracked it deliberately, ran water through it, and the cracks closed within 2 weeks. Control samples without the clasts stayed cracked and leaking. So how does a civilization lose a material this good? Not through a burned library or a single lost book. Vitruvius survived. Copies of his work sat in monastery collections the whole time. What did not survive was everything around the text. The ash came from specific volcanic deposits near Naples, and it moved on Roman shipping, paid for by Roman money, quarried by organized Roman labor. Herod's harbour in Israel only existed because that fleet could carry the stuff across the entire Mediterranean. When the Western Empire fragmented in the 5th century, the fleet and the money and the quarrying gangs went with it. You cannot build with volcanic ash you can no longer get delivered, and the knowledge itself only ever existed as instructions, never as chemistry. Roman builders knew the proportions and the feel of the material without knowing why any of it worked. Skills like that live in working crews, and when the crews stop working, the skill has nowhere left to sit. The rediscovery took until 1756, when the English engineer John Smeaton was hired to rebuild the Eddystone Lighthouse on a reef in the English Channel. He needed a mortar that would set in wet conditions and hold against Atlantic storms. Smeaton ran systematic tests on different limestones and found that ones containing clay impurities produced a lime that hardened under water. He had reproduced the Roman principle from scratch by experiment, without knowing the chemistry either. 68 years later, in 1824, a Leeds bricklayer named Joseph Aspdin patented what he called Portland cement. That patent is the ancestor of nearly every building around you right now. Modern concrete has real advantages over the Roman version. It is far stronger in compression, it sets in hours instead of months, and with steel inside it you can build spans and towers no Roman engineer could have attempted. That trade was made deliberately. but we optimized for speed and strength and treated duration as somebody else's problem. Concrete is now the second most used substance on the planet after water, and manufacturing its cement accounts for roughly 8% of global carbon dioxide emissions. Every structure that fails at 60 years gets rebuilt, and the carbon bill is paid all over again. Durability, in other words, has quietly become a climate question. Nobody is proposing we rebuild cities out of volcanic ash. The Roman mix is weak in tension, it takes months to reach full strength, and the deposits it depends on sit under one corner of Italy. What the laboratories are actually chasing is narrower than that. Take the self-healing chemistry and bolt it onto the mixes we already pour by the billion tons. That harbour wall was poured by people who had no idea what tobermarite was, who could not have explained a single reaction taking place inside their own mix. They just knew that the sea made it harder. 2,000 years later, we finally know why. The open question is whether we do anything with it.